Hello, and greetings from Hominem Damatorium. Part 2 of us reading Questions for Atheists.
100.
100 questions for atheists. So far, they have been kind of brain-numbingly stupid.
Well, before we start, what's your name?
Oh yeah, Deadwall.
Magical Bastard.
And I'm Elz. So, last time we went from question 1 all the way to question 10. We're going to start off with number 11, Magic Bastard. Take it away.
Proceed with the mental diarrhea.
Alright, yeah, it's going to be a big one. It's going to be that bad. If my brain wore pants, it'd probably fit better. Alright, here it is. You're walking along the beach, and you see in the sand words, God loves you. Could the waves rolling up the beach cause that to happen by chance? Or would it be far more rational to believe that someone just came by with a stick or a finger and wrote the thing in the sand?
Or a penis.
Didn't we already answer this question? There's a vast difference between something that happens by nature and is repeatable and can be done on its own versus something that can't be done on its own.
Repeatable? Yeah, that can't be happening repeatable at all. But no, that would have to be.
But anyway, they're the ones saying that if they run across this, that means, there, God. That proves God. I'm like, the simplest answer is yes, somebody came by and wrote it. But you're jumping the gun and going, nope, this proves that some divine magic man born of a virgin, and died and, gave birth to himself through a virgin, died and came back after 3 days, and blah, 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 wrote this here because he loves me individually, even though there's billions of people alive.
I don't know, if I just walked on the beach and it rolled up like that and rolled back out, I saw that message, I'd look at what I'm drinking and go, okay, who spiked my fucking drink?
Who spiked my drink?
And I want for you to cut back.
Yeah.
Alright. Number 12.
Take it away, Elz.
Ooh. Okay.
This is going to be a big one.
Yeah, a big
Alright.
one for the little guy.
Alright. Number 12. You see the faces of 4 presidents carved in solid rock on top of Mount Rushmore. You have 2 choices. A scientist with a PhD in geology tells you that this is the result of millions of years of erosion from the wind and the rain. The similarities to the president's faces is coincidence. No.
Oh, God.
B. A 16-year-old boy looks at it and says, that is obviously carved out by a gifted and very intelligent artist trained in the art of sculpting. Which answer is more rational chance of or intelligent design?
Are they falsely equating evolution with chance again?
Sounds like it.
I don't even know where to begin.
I know!
There's so much detail that they have on those things. On
and I
faces.
believe I am quoting Matt Dillahunty when he's like, you talk about walking along the beach and finding a watch and claiming that that proves intelligence design. But from your perspective, you're walking in a beach of watches and you pick up a watch. If you do not have something that is not designed, how can you distinguish it from something that is designed?
By the way, you're welcome, Matt. What would you think of me if I denied the great works of art were created by the great masters, that they all happened by chance?
Yeah.
Well, I think some of them are, like Jackson Pollock, who just threw the paint at the canvas.
Yeah, but that's a whole different scenario, just throwing shit on the freaking canvas versus someone actually doing something.
No, there are artists who actually, nowadays, who just throw shit at the canvas and post it up as art.
Yeah, I wouldn't doubt that. But I'm talking about versus someone actually doing something like an actual watch, putting the components together, the battery, all the pieces. Big difference
And
there.
there's also a big difference between art and what you see in nature.
Right.
A hippie would see nature itself as art. Oh, look at that sunset! Ain't it beautiful?
Yeah, it could be considered art,
Yeah,
but
well,
It can be, a sunset can be pretty,
yeah.
but it doesn't mean that it's not like there's angels out there painting the colors on the clouds, which, by the way, they used to believe.
mm,
God, we used to believe dragons lived in volcanoes.
right. Number 3, when you see a skyscraper like Sears Tower in Chicago, isn't that empirical proof that there was a designer and a builder, even though you've never seen him?
I know there was.
Again, yes, but that's only because we have never found evidence of a skyscraper giving birth to another skyscraper. That would be awesome to see. Well, too bad I can't animate.
Please keep Lady Liberty out of this.
By the way, apologize for the messing up the spelling. The monitor's a bit back from us.
Okay, number 4. Think about what you're seeing in this picture. Planets. How does that logic not also apply to the system of sun, moon, and stars?
By the way, if the planets were that close to the sun, every last one of them would be an inferno. But that's besides the point. Actually, no. With what they're saying, if what they were saying there was an intelligent designer, that order of the planets makes no sense.
Right.
It actually does make sense if you take in for gravitational densities of a dust cloud congealing into separate planets, because when the sun would first be forming, the heavier, denser material would be drawn to the sun first, with the lighter, looser material being out further, which would then develop into rings over time as it's rotating around the sun, which would then condense. And what do you see? The heavy, rocky planets are closest to the sun, and the lighter, gaseous planets are farther from the sun. And even further proof, you can even see it right there. Not all of those planets have their axes pointed in the same direction.
Right.
And what's not shown there is the weird orbit of Venus, I believe it is, because the greatest evidence shows that it was probably 2 planetoids that collided and threw off its orbit. And I think it's Uranus.
It's on its side.
Yeah, it's on its side. And look, yeah. So again, this is exactly what I would expect if you just had it happening by natural processes.
Number 5. Can you honestly say that you believe this system so vast, complex, and orderly could have made itself?
It is not orderly.
Oh.
Our solar system is a shooting gallery. Do you know how many freaking planet-killing asteroids are out there? It is not ordered.
Just look at the asteroid field, right down in there.
And also, did you know with a small, tiny tweaks that wouldn't have affected Earth in any way, shape, or form, there could have been 3 habitable planets in our system? If Mars had been just a tiny bit bigger and a tiny bit closer, it could have been inhabitable. And what's the other one on the other side of us? Venus?
Yeah, Venus.
Yeah, Mercury was the one that then got struck by another planetoid, because 2 planetoids struck each other, and that's how... Anyway, Venus, if it was a little bit further back, it wouldn't have created the runaway greenhouse effect that it got because of the CO2 couldn't escape, and it also would have had the potential of being a habitable planet.
Okay. Number 6. There is an estimate 100 to 400 billion stars in the Milky Way galaxy. The entire galaxy of stars rotates at a speed that will allow them to complete 1 revolution every 250 million years. They all stay in place like a giant cosmic Ferris wheel.
Again, I am no expert. I'm a layman, but I already know that's false. Because I've even looked into it. I actually do like watching documentaries. The reason that the galaxy is in such a spiral shape, and in fact seems to be very stretched out and elongated like a spring wrapped around itself, is because as it's rotating, the galaxies out further are rotating slower than the planets and stars that are out further are rotating slower than the ones that are closer in. And thus, as it slowly rotates, the arms are stretching and stretching and stretching, and that's why it's looking like when you drop in a couple drops of color water into water and then swirl it slowly, that's what's happening. So the compression shock is basically what's happening, and it's the conservation of momentum of the spinning mass in the center, which is theoretically a supermassive black hole. Which is a black hole which has so much mass in it that it actually has more mass than the rest of our galaxy, is spinning super, super fast near the speed of light, which is then causing basically a gravitational shockwave that is causing everything else to rotate. But yeah, the center of the galaxy is spinning faster than the edges. In fact, if given enough time, the galaxy will spin itself apart.
So, well,
Awesome.
you already got part 1 of part A. What causes that to happen? Boom. Why don't they collide?
Actually, I don't know about individual stars, but I know galaxies collide. We have evidence of that.
How much power do you think
Oh wait, actually they do, because we have had evidence of stars eating other stars. Usually, it takes a lot of time because of how far apart they are, but especially binary stars have collided.
Yeah, it can happen, but I have no idea of how often.
Yeah.
But I'm no expert. Neither are you.
Yeah, we're not
Or this
experts.
guy.
Nah, I'm no expert.
We don't have a giant
Just
telescope the
interested
size
laymen.
of a freaking skyscraper.
Yeah, we're just interested laymen.
Right. Where was I?
How much power do you think is required to drive this system?
How much power?
Define power. Because what do you mean by power? Do you mean energy? Because energy is just derived from things being in motion and the potential of things to do work. So, in the end, the universe is a zero-sum game. And in fact, they actually were doing the math. If you calculate in for all the variables, the net energy of the universe is 0.
And you pretty much did for letter B. Does that look like an intelligent design system to you? No, it's just how this guy actually said to your brother that just like how he still believes in in God, but yet you put into perspective to him like he just put everything into motion and just let it go.
It's called the clockwork universe theory.
Right. Things just happen just because of.
At best, you could come up with is maybe some kind of deistic entity, but it doesn't get you one step closer to an individual particular god.
Right. So just puts it into motion, and that's basically it.
And that's the best you can get, and that's only because we're not certain what started.
Right.
Well, we're not sure what started the Big Bang, because that may not even be a valid question.
It's just our own, just a guess.
Yeah.
Well, C. The sun, a small star, consumes 400 to 700 billion tons of hydrogen per second. Multiply that by 100 to 400 billion, the number of stars in our galaxy. Then, by the trillions of other galaxies also revolving in place, where does it all come from?
Well, there's actually huge clouds of hydrogen just floating around in space.
Different gases in the freaking galaxy?
Well, hydrogen specifically, because hydrogen is the most simple gas. And in fact, according to the Big Bang Theory, from my understanding of it, when which bang is a misnomer, when the universe sprang into existence, it expanded from a single point, creating a bunch of energy, kind of like nuclear fusion kind of energy. It's really complicated. It was like a soup of electrons and positrons and all that other stuff. And as it expanded, it coalesced. And as it coalesced, it became hydrogen, which is the simplest atom.
Because
Lots and lots and lots and lots of hydrogen.
doesn't hydrogen only have like one proton, one neutron, and
One electron.
One electron.
Yep.
Because from what I remember, Dr. Manhattan, that's what he put on his forehead, symbol of hydrogen.
Yeah, it is the most abundant element in the universe. And that's where it comes from. It's simply the most abundant thing out there.
Okay, next one. Who wants to take it?
That's a long one.
That's a series of questions.
Yeah.
Exposing the denial, the hypocrisy, the illogical and irrational thinking of atheists.
Can't
Yeah,
say.
right. Like they haven't done anything yet.
Number 1. The moral relativist
Yes.
atheist says everything is relative. There are no absolutes. Isn't saying all things are relative an absolute statement?
Actually, there is absolutes. They're not, well, pretty much everything is relative, but even with things being relative, it can still have an absolute. It's an absolute that everything will die.
Yes.
That is an absolute. It is there's a ton of absolutes out there. So what of it? And if they're just talking about on the moral spectrum, that's kind of a fuzzy area. There are, even in their own book, everything's a gray area. Thou shalt not kill. Take that for an example. Do not kill. All right. What do you do if you see somebody going to gun down an orphanage and you've got a handgun in your pocket? Do you put one in their back and stop them right before they pull the trigger and start slaughtering all these orphans? Or do you let them kill? If you decided to stop them and save all those lives, you committed murder. You killed. And thus, relatively, what you did was right. But it was absolutely good that you saved many lives.
Right.
So it is possible to have both absolutes while still maintaining relativity. It depends on how you go with it. Again, I'm going off of what some other people said. Morality is about what's good. It causes the most good for the most people, and the least harm for the most people.
And it's also action versus intention.
Right.
Number 2. Is that a contradiction? So then, that is a false statement. Isn't that true? Number 1.
First of all, I don't agree with your first statement, so your second statement makes no sense. It's a non-starter because you were wrong on your first conclusion. You misrepresented what I think. And I think we should stop here. We'll continue on in part 3.